We are live, Jada.
Oh,
Yay! Are we?
Yeah, I think we're good.
We're good?
Yeah.
I didn't even realize you were local until we just talked just before I went live.
Yeah.
I thought you were a Texas citizen these days, but apparently not. You're in SoCal with me.
I think I'm closer to you than Ice is.
Probably. I live in South Orange County, though. So,
Okay.
so I live in Laguna Niguel. So I don't know how close that is. It's a tie. Where in LA roughly are you?
East LA.
Roughly.
I'm like downtown LA.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I went to
That's
Irvine
great.
last week. Are you more south than Irvine?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
you have Irvine, Lake Forest, Laguna Hills, and then Laguna Niguel is more down against Dana Point.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know where that's at.
And it's a paradise, and it's my own little bubble in the world. Anyway, so we're doing these lives. Part of this started with me saying I need to get better at English as second language, practice more, but I also need to get better at the improv speaking. And I threw out a question on Instagram. There were some people like, yeah, I'm interested in this. And not only that, we have met quite a lot at different real estate investment trade shows. We have met, I'm trying to remember more, Multify. I think you're in Sub 2 as well, right?
Yeah.
So we are part of the same communities. Mm-hmm. But for people who don't know you and they either find you on my live somewhere, whatever we're streaming, tell everyone like super brief who you are, your background, and why you're amazing.
Oh, thank you. Super brief. My name is Jada Tholey. I am a 24-year-old real estate investor. I started investing about 3 years ago in 2021 and have done a ton of different things within real estate, wholesaling, Airbnb management, X, Y, and Z. And I'm currently, and I see me continuing down this path of being a more of a private money lender. So for other real estate investors that are wanting to flip properties or wanting to buy rental properties, I am there to essentially lend them money so that they can do so.
And I do have several local people that know who that could use some money, and they usually actually follow on Instagram especially. So maybe you'll find some customers by doing this. Who knows?
I love it.
So shout out. Anyone needs money, like bridge short-term money?
Yeah.
For flips. What else? Rehabs?
Rehabs, DSCR loans. I would say those. So
cool.
Flips, rentals, refinances. I got you.
Yeah, that's awesome. And okay, so I asked everyone to list a topic, and your topic is kind of cool. And I have no clue where this conversation will go. So you said how to want more when I don't know what more looks like. Mm. And knowing you're a deep person, you're philosophical. So I am very curious, what led you to that title?
I think a lot of it is I like to listen to big people like Cody Sanchez and a lot of kind of philosophical people as well, but a lot of business people, especially since I'm in the space. And a lot of them talk about your goals and hitting your goals and making goals. And I don't know if I've ever really been a person that has had like big picture goal. So I think a lot of people, they start to ask me like, what's your goal? And right now I say usually like, I don't know what it is. I just like what I do. And I'm going to keep doing it, see where it takes me.
I think that's the right approach. I'm just going to say, I didn't even raise that question. When I was your age, like I could barely even figure out how to dress myself. I'm not kidding. I had no idea of what to plan for. I would say when I got to be closer to 30, that's where I started really like planning of what I wanted to do, where I wanted to travel, what were the focuses. So first of all, don't feel stressed about not having clear set goals. And we have several other people that we both know. Mm-hmm. Some of them have them and some of them don't, that are in your age group. Mm-hmm. So you're basically doing inspect and adapt.
Okay. Inspect and
you're
adapt.
Figuring out what's next. But did you do one thing that really helped guide me is My story is basically I ended up seeing what's the real negative of life. So I ended up working in a factory when I was young, and I also failed high school and all those things, and I had to redo all of that.
What?
But um, yeah, I don't know. I've never even told you that. But
No.
anyway, long story short, part of this is I didn't realize my core values, and I didn't realize that until later.
Mm,
But so I think people who find their path either ends up going sort of down in life where things are miserable, they don't have much money, they're really struggling,
mm,
or they are, how do I say, they're fear-based driven. So
mm.
they're competitive, they want to show everyone else what they can do. Maybe someone said something really bad about them and they want to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
Um, but it often starts with trying to understand who you are. And if you don't know who you are, like deep emotional intelligence is really hard to figure out what goals to set for yourself.
Hmm.
Have you ever done that exercise, like a core value exercise?
Somewhat, but not too deep. I think I usually tend to underestimate myself, and I want to do, if it's something that's kind of deep, like a core values thing, I usually like to try to have other people to, and I think we spoke about this in Florida at the Clever Summit. Like it's very, other people's input is very important to me. And I don't think I've had uh, comfortability without having that input to do a deeper dive like that.
And you are, when you did your Clifton strength, where were you on input?
Oh, let's see. I have it right here. What is input? Is that
I'm not
green?
an expert at Clifton strengths, but you are very relationship focused in your profile, right?
Mm-hmm. A lot of blue. My input is 19.
Okay. But I'm curious to, and again, I'm not an expert at that at all. You can go to Rosie for that, and she is. But I think that, do you make decisions in your life for yourself, or do you let other people make decision for you?
Hmm. That's an interesting question. I feel like it's probably the latter if I hesitate. Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
is that?
Um, why I hesitate?
Yeah, or why are you seeking other people's validation?
I think, well, I feel like there's just an inherent distrust of me to me, which I'm not too sure why. Thinking about it, a lot of times when I was growing up, my dad would try to teach me a lot of things, and he would ask me questions, like let's say like a math question or something. And I would kind of think about it and I would say an answer that I kind of thought was the right answer, but immediately go like, oh wait, hold on, no. And he would kind of get frustrated because he said that's the right answer. Like, why are you second guessing yourself? And that is a kind of a constant thing. And I don't know why I have that.
And has it changed as you've grown older? Or have you started to rely more on your gut instinct and believing in your decision making, or are you still, is it the same level of validation?
I think it's gotten better, but I don't know to like a degree that I would like it to be. Yeah.
So where do you like it to be? 5 years from now, you
Mhm.
have a big life decision and you like, I'm going to move to another state, I'm going to move to another country, I'm going to change jobs, whatever it is.
Mhm.
What would that ideal scenario look like of how you get to that conclusion?
I still think having other people's input is nice, but not to try to please them just because I feel like I'm not seeing the bigger picture. And so a lot of times, and so I feel like a lot of people have a lot of different perspectives. Um, and then I guess ultimately, just kind of like what you were saying with the gut, like going with my gut, I think I would want to just go with the gut, whether it feels um, scary, or it feels like I'm fully confident in whatever like I'm telling myself. Like either way, I just do it. Because right now I do that sometimes, but not all the time. Like right now I am in some of my business dealings, I'm working with a couple people that I like, and that they opened up this opportunity to for the lending for me. But I'm not quite sure that I fit in with whatever vision they have. Um, but I also don't feel comfortable enough to not be a part of things. Like I feel like it's almost disrespectful if I say, thanks for this. I'm going to go do my own thing now.
They might hear you on this live.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Conversation done.
Yeah.
No, but I think having the conversation with them regardless, I will always say that. Say how you feel, say what you're thinking, I think is crucial no matter what you're doing, Jada.
Mm.
I would recommend that any day of the week. I also know that when you, because I've seen you in a room with strong personalities,
Mm.
and you tend to go quiet and you tend to not want to disturb the person taking space in the room. I called you out on that over one dinner, even where I had to like create a little space for you to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think at the same time, um, that also means you are prioritizing others, and maybe you should be more selfish um, in those situations. Or if you are counting time, the amount of minutes some people take space in the room, try to take some. Because like I said, what I realized after talking with you multiple times, you are a deep, thoughtful person who likes to think in bigger picture terms, a little bit philosophical terms.
Mm.
And a lot of people I've noticed that are younger that have those thoughts and that way of operating, they tend to not get as much space compared to the person who just is like, here's what we're going to do, boom, go.
Mm-hmm.
But as you get older and more successful, the reflective mindset and being able to see something from new perspective, being more philosophical, is often something that is very appreciated.
Mm.
So, but the trick is you still have to take space. Why do you think? So, tell me a little bit more about the situation you have. Is it you're afraid to let them down? Was kind of what I heard you say, but at the same time, you don't really know what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So, what if you're just sabotaging for yourself?
Yes.
How would you know the difference?
I I think I am I don't think I'm self-sabotaging. I don't feel that I've done that often. Um, and I'm thinking about, when I think about like what I want to do and what I'm currently doing and how I'm kind of doing both. I can definitely see that what I want to do has a bigger pull to me. And not just because it's like, ooh, shiny object, this is a new thing, I want to do it. But it feels more of like I can connect the dots, and I'm somewhat already doing that now. And so it feels more attainable, I think. And then kind of mission driven ish. So I don't know about like full on mission. I haven't done like a core values or core focus kind of thing, but I really enjoy helping other people. Um, that's a general statement, but in terms of like if somebody has I'm a big problem solver. Restorative is in my top 5, which is problem solving, and it feels good to problem solve. Like for me, if somebody wants, I have money and I don't know what to do with it, I'm like, I got you, X, Y, and Z. My mom has a nonprofit and has a boutique, and she's running different things, and oftentimes she comes to me to try to think about like, okay, how can I prioritize my time more? I really want to make the farmers market better, and it feels good to be able to brainstorm with her and kind of list things out and so I think that's just what I want to do. So that's why I kind of feel like being a little more in the private sector, like private money lending, calls out to me more because I feel like I have more opportunities to help more people.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So you're saying that, but have you correlated the helping people with what you're currently doing? Or you haven't gone down that thought process? Because you are technically helping people if you're doing some work, if you're connecting lenders with people who need money.
Yeah, I've correlated that. I think it's because right now when I work with a lot of hard money lenders, and I love it, I think that they have a lot of great products. Um, I think the fact that I'm not like, I don't know how to get close to hard money lenders or any of those companies. Like I'm a very big relationship based person. And I think
Hmm.
that's the thing that feels like it's missing with most of what I'm doing right now. Love the products, but I don't feel attachment to them. Rather than if I have more like private money lenders, those are people. Those are like individual lenders that I feel a connection to and not all like, yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things.
Is it the stories they tell you? Or what is it that you know the exact problem you're solving in that situation? Or what is it that make you feel connected to it?
Hmm, I don't know. I
So
think I
why are
feel
you helping them more is kind of my question. Why is it more helping there and not the other? Like I'm trying to get it
yeah,
because
yeah.
it's is it just that you know specifically in private money lending where the money goes and people are more appreciative? Or is it like what's the feeling you get?
Hmm. I think a part of it is I know exactly where the money's coming from, and it feels more like I'm helping two parties. And I think I grew up kind of with a little bit of like, oh, the 1%'s bad and banks are bad. So when I think of hard money lending as well, and I think of how close it is with the bank, I don't think that it's bad, but I
Mhm.
think I just feel like I was never in finance or Wall Street or different things. So I kind of don't really understand how people are getting money or like there's just a weirdness to it that I feel like I don't understand and it feels uncomfortable. But if I know that somebody has a retirement account because they were a pharmacist and they've just been putting money in it, I feel like, oh, okay, no, easy. I know everything that's going on here. And then yeah, and I think it's a little more relationship based because it's not like just relationship based with the borrower, but now I also get to build a relationship with the lender. And it feels nice to be on phone calls with people and people that are like so excited to lend on a deal or yeah, that feels like a big part of it.
So you're getting energized by others people like helping the thing is you can help in transactional situations as well.
Mhm.
Anytime you connect someone who needs money with someone who has money, you're technically helping both parties, right? The investor gets more money and the other ones can execute on their thing. But what I hear you say is that it's just the style of how you operate. You hear this like the excitement. You said they get more excited, they get more what other feelings do they get? And what are they telling you?
I feel like I the first word that comes to my mind is like trust, and I think I really appreciate that. Woo is also really high on my strengths. Um, so I like when I get them to trust me and know that I'm bringing them opportunities that I believe in, and if I can even lend my own money, then be a part of that.
That's cool. What where do you so why haven't you had this conversation with the two people? Like maybe there's a transition, maybe there is like what are you shying away from?
Um, I don't want to. I don't want to be disrespectful. I think because I've been told by, granted, I don't. These people were relatively close to my age, so I don't think that they have the highest emotional intelligence. Same as me, like we have a long ways to go. But I know that I've been told before, like, hey, it kind of feels like you used me as a like a stepping stone to bigger and better things. And so that's like a big thing that I don't want to. I don't know, if somebody said that, it seems disrespectful. I don't want to be disrespectful. Like,
Have someone said that to you?
yes.
You know what? Like, if you go work for a corporate job, and you leave a corporate job, is the corporation then supposed to say like, "Oh, you used me. You got a higher market value, and you got better at doing things, and you took another job. You used me."
Mm. Yeah, okay. It
No,
makes sense when you say it. Yeah.
no. It's the difference is that you have relationships. Like a corporation or a bigger company. If you were a small person there, or is a 1,000-man company or 1,000-person company, the problem here is that in that situation you wouldn't have the emotional attachment to it. But when you are dealing with the smaller moms and pops businesses, 3 to 5 people, everyone knows one another, their families, all of that, you have developed a relationship with them, and then you feel it's like it I guess it's like breaking up with someone.
Mm-hmm.
So you associate that with that emotion, but technically a job is a job. A job is not your life, and you should look after yourself, but not act. You should still act with morale and ethics. Someone wrote, Daniel he wrote, I wouldn't even worry about it, Jada. Don't ever feel bad because you met someone that wanted to do business with you.
Oh, that's nice. That's such
But
a
it's
good.
true. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just putting it into perspective. So what you're saying is, if I worked for a big corporation, I would like it's a different relationship than it's a company. But if it's individual I work with, it's not a company.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to like, do you understand? Then it's a personal, private thing. So what I'm trying to get you to correlate here is you're building a barrier in your own head a little bit here.
Yeah.
Um, it's a job.
Yeah.
You haven't promised people anything, and maybe you can pivot with those people. Maybe they can, if you talk to them, maybe they'll go, "Hey, you know what? We can do that as well. Do you want to start that up?" Or like you never know, but if you don't tell them, or it doesn't mean you're gone tomorrow. It doesn't mean you won't stay there. Like I always say jobs, you have you have them, you don't have them forever. It
Mm-hmm.
pays for your spare time, and also you stay until you leave. And people are either, how do I put this? And because you have to have a job, you can either choose to be miserable or you can make the best of the situation. But
Mm-hmm.
if you don't tell the people you're working with, I would say that's worse.
Yeah.
Now they don't, because if you tell them, they you give them a chance to actually support you in it. And the last thing I wanted to tell you, and I hope this doesn't mess you up financially or work wise or anything, but it's in the end of the day, an early failure is better than a late failure.
Mm. Yeah.
Like we celebrate when we hired people that were just not a culture fit, or there was a other place they would be more happy in. Like we celebrated that, because the worst thing you can do is hold on. But the one thing, like I'm not saying go quit. I'm not saying that, Jada. But what I'm saying is I think you should, maybe when you talk to them, maybe they'll go like, "Hey, but we can do this differently," or "What if we did like this?" And focus less on the relationship, and in the end of the day, like put on your own oxygen mask, because I've seen so many people, Jada, that make good money and they're just miserable because they're not doing what fulfills their purpose and their core values,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't get them closer to their North Star. And I've seen people who lived most of their lives that way, and they become very bitter in their late 30s or early 40s. Um, so you don't want to end in a bitter feeling situation. Um, and look out for yourself first.
Thank you. Question. What if, again, because I'm not sure if I have all the perspectives that are necessary, which I don't. But I think another thing that I worry about is that it's not the right thing if I were to want to if I were to go to the thing that I'm really wanting right now. What if it's just being a little too naive? And maybe I could see how I can still do these, like both of these, but I would want to do my own thing more. And what if they're saying, "Hey, that's not the right thing to do. You need to do this more right now, or at least more for X amount of time in order to do this." I don't know if am I too inexperienced. Like, should I just follow their?
No, you should ask for other people's opinions. I mean, you have people who have been doing both for a while. I guess Alexis is one of them, but you have several people around you you can ask, but you should never ask the people that have chips on the table or a stake in it for their advice, but you should listen to them. You should get curious.
Mhm.
But I think you're a person that naturally will get curious and you naturally will try to figure out why they're saying what they're saying. Just avoid pleasing them
Mm.
and like don't go into and if you second guess yourself, get two, three other opinions from people who doesn't have a stake in the game. That would be my suggestion. But get curious. I don't know. And then, do you have anyone else around you that is either in PML and or in the lending bridge debt? Like, do you have any or hard money loans? Do you have anyone that have been in both that you can seek advice from?
Yeah, I could find people. Not anyone that I'm close with now, but I can squeeze my way in there.
No,
Just
no,
got.
but just pick up, like, just tell. I mean, you know, several people that are really well networked. You
Mm-hmm.
can just go to them and say, "Do you know anyone in this space?"
Uh,
Because what I heard you say is a little bit of self doubt, whether it's like I would like to be there, but I don't know if I can be there. I
mm-hmm.
personally don't know enough about the spaces to give you a clear advice, but I can say that every time I have a big life decision, I always try to get at least three people's external opinions. I often ask a person that is very coin operated,
Mm.
business centric person. I often ask a person that is very relationship centered. And I often ask a person that has a leadership slash strategy background. And the reason why I ask those three is then you triage, you triangulate the different perceptions. And that often means, am I doing this for to further my career? Am I doing this? I love leadership. So am I doing this like, is this a leadership opportunity? Or is this a money, like, is it a money grab, or is it a relationship thing? Like, I'm trying to find these vectors and then ask the people who I trust to give me the advice on these vectors.
Mm.
uh, what I don't want you to do is get stuck in your own head. um, oh, by the way, Al Dominguez said, reach out, Jada, you can use me as a sounding board.
That's nice.
So, and I think I appreciate that. And I think Daniel CGC Invest was another one who made the comment before, like the comment I said about you shouldn't feel bad, basically.
Mm.
So I do think, and you have several others, Jada, that you can reach out to for the factual,
Yeah.
like the factual. Do you have the knowledge? Do you have the capacity? Is this something you should be doing?
Mm.
And would you, just out of curiosity, would you use your own money or would you raise capital for other people to do the private money lending?
Raise capital. I don't
Yeah.
have to lend on my own fully.
No. So you would raise capital, put a spread on top of it, and then deploy it into whatever it is that people are doing. And would you be using, just out of curiosity, would you be using the sub 2 community, the multifamily community, or others? Or how would you connect the dots?
Yeah, I would be using probably mostly the sub 2 community for the deals, like borrowers. And then I have, and I guess also for raising money, but then I also have another community that I'm a part of that's more for raising money.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Which one is that?
It's called Money Is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're basically, what you're saying is, if I understand you correctly, you say if I talk with people where I know the money is coming from and I build a relationship with them and I find the people where that really matters for them, they want the problem solved, and I want to be the matchmaker, basically.
Hmm.
Okay. So anyone listening to this, connect with Jada if this is something you're an expert at, either now or afterwards, because I think there's a bunch of people who might hear this and go, okay, they might not reach out, but I think they can help. I'm actually thinking of a couple of people. I'll give the names afterwards, but I'm thinking of a couple of people I could potentially connect you with. I would say you need to. I created this free thing. I put it on my Instagram. I think I put it in my bio. It's called Finding Your North Star.
Yes,
Uh, it's just, I don't know. Did you ever see that?
I did. Yeah, I started working on it.
And some of these questions are hard, and they require reflection. And I would encourage you to not go too much externally and seek validation on them. I
Mm,
would try to run through the entire exercise yourself
mm,
and get a rough opinion about it. And then I would try to seek validation. But I wouldn't sit down with the document and say, what do you think about this? Because you have to remember, people will answer for the lives they live and the lives they want to live,
mhm,
not the life they want you to live.
mm.
Does that make sense? And even if people are completely unbiased and you really think they're unbiased, they're not.
Yeah.
People always, because it's not that they don't want to be biased, it's just that they lived a life up to this point and they have their beliefs and they have their experiences which aren't yours.
Mhm.
Um, Jada, I think one thing that I think is important for you. Um, I'm trying to understand how we can get you to trust your gut instinct more and listen more to your gut instinct.
Mm.
I didn't do that. Like the older I get, the more I just go. Um, when I was younger, I was also very curious, partly what other people thought and about my decisions. So
Mhm.
part of this is also just getting older, or experiencing traumatic things in your life where you had to make the decisions.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't want to do this on this live, but I do have, when we're done, I'll ask you a couple of more questions about sort of the childhood aspect of this, because I do believe that I'm not saying you doubt yourself, you have confidence, you have done a lot. Like I said, at your age, I didn't even understand how to dress myself. But it is, you have done a lot, so it's not that. But sometimes we just get stuck in our, I mean, it's amazing that you listen to others, it's amazing that you care about the relationship. I just don't want you to be the outcome of everyone's else wishes
Mhm.
in their lives, so you live 50 other people or 100 other people's lives of what's best for them rather what's best for you.
Mm.
And part of this is maybe self-discovery as well.
This is good. Thank you.
I can be wrong, but can I ask you a personal question though, which isn't about
Yep.
childhood or anything?
Yeah.
What was the biggest struggle you went through in life? And you don't, if you don't want to say it, you don't have to say it, but has there been anything in life where you're like heartbroken, really struggled, where you made a big decision, and after making that big decision, things just get better? And you don't have to give the example, but have you been through something where you're like looking back 6 months later and you just go, wow, what a mess. Like, why did I not spot that sooner?
My last relationship. Yeah.
Okay. So if you know that, how can you, and sooner or later you made a decision, right? And you
Mhm,
got out of it.
mhm.
And hopefully it wasn't other people who made it for you. Hopefully you made part of that decision yourself.
Mm.
So if looking back at a time frame, when did you know subconsciously that you had to go or make a change versus when you actually did it?
Pretty early on, like very early on. I I think we dated for like 3 years, and probably within the first year, I was like, hmm, I don't know. I don't know if these aspects are what I want. For instance, if I said, which I did, I value honesty above everything else, and they said, I would lie to you to protect your feelings. And I asked them specifically to not do that. And they told me to my face, I would still do that. And I was like, yeah, that's probably not what I want. And yet I stayed.
Yeah. So, what I'm trying to teach you here is how can you draw from that experience in life in general?
Mm,
And I'll give you an example from the corporate world. People, they know when they hire the wrong person and they know when they have to fire someone.
mhm,
I often see even people who makes a lot of money in high positions, executives. They're like, "Yeah, I'm having this trouble with one of these employees." And like, "Okay, have you given them feedback?" Okay, so we give them feedback. And then a few months later, yeah, it gets worse. And they're not delivering. I'm so freaking tired and I'll figure it out myself. 6 months later. So what is happening? I was like, yeah, I just let them be. There's a lot of good things, but I just don't have the energy to deal with it.
mm,
And then another couple of months, and then something happens. And often I push them, like, get rid of the person. And then what ends up happening is they have this one trigger. There's something that goes against their core values. There's something that goes against them as an individual. And they literally flip and fire the person on the spot.
wow.
But they knew 6 months, 9 months before that they had to fire them. They knew it wasn't a culture fit.
Mhm,
They knew that person, I always go GWC, get it, want it, capacity to do it, plus
mhm,
culture fit, and then you know. And if it's a no on get it, want it, and capacity to do it on one of them, they need to go. If it's not a culture fit, they need to go. So the correlation between managers who wait a long time and actually take action is often because they're so empathetic for the person because they have been fired themselves one time. I'm getting to a point for you very shortly. They have been fired themselves and they can relate to the feeling. So they're so afraid of firing them.
mhm,
I would argue that such a person will go through life and they will almost if they have 10 years of work experience, in reality they might have 2 years work experience
mm.
because they didn't do enough decisions. They didn't fail enough. They were so afraid of hurting another person so many times. How do you avoid going through life without making the decisions and knowing what decisions you need to make and being so afraid of the emotional blocker because of the relationship? How do you avoid that? Because what if you live and work? What if you work 10 years, but you got 2 years of experience? What if you lived for 10 years, but you really truly only lived for 2 years? So do you understand how this can? So what I'm telling you is, what I'm trying to say, and why it matters for you, is your brain is wired for survival. And for some reason, for something that happened in your life, and because of who you are and relationships, For you, it's survival to not hurt the other person's feelings.
Mm.
So you rather hurt your own. That's kind of what I hear. And therefore you push it away. But that compounds, and that can become really bad the longer you wait in life and the further you go in life. So how can you understand it's a coping mechanism, understand that it's a survival instinct in your brain, being so relationship focused, that the flip side, that you go, okay, I need to program my brain, and I need to reprogram it so I don't see hurting someone's feeling, not being empathetic, caring by someone. How do I make sure that I'm at least aware of what I'm doing so I can make a conscious decision in the moment? Because I will argue you're about to do the same that took you almost 2 years before.
Yeah.
So the way I would do it if I were you, I would give it a time frame.
Okay.
I would say in 3 months, if I feel, I have a hunch, in 3 months, if I feel, if this becomes true, then I'm ejecting.
Mhm.
And you almost tell someone, if you really want to anchor that hard, you tell someone that you have a relationship. I had Ice do this, and I don't know if she likes me to say this, but I'll do it anyway. She'll forgive me. I had her write a letter to herself about a situation that if this becomes true, she needs that letter close to her heart, and she needs to take it out, and she needs to look herself in the mirror and look at that letter and follow her own advice. What if you were to write such a letter to yourself saying, how can I avoid feeling this horrible feeling I had before this? I knew it was wrong for 2 years, yet I kept going.
Mhm.
What promise and what time frame are you willing to make to yourself where you don't compromise anymore? But you still have 3 months or 6 months or whatever time you pick, a month, a week, a day, a second,
Mhm.
whatever fits you. But here's my challenge to you. As you go through life, make it shorter every single time you write yourself such a note.
Mhm.
Because now you force yourself to be dependent on your own decision making.
Mhm.
So what's the time frame? If you're willing to do that exercise, what's the time frame, Jada?
I like
You
3
write that
months.
letter.
Yeah.
What is it?
I like the 3 months. I thought the 3 months was pretty good.
Yeah. So next time we make it 2 months, and then we make it a month, and then we make it 2 weeks.
Okay.
Here's what's going to happen. You're going to deplete your energy level if you keep going after 3 months. If you move the goalpost, you're going to start feelings will bubble up, anxiety, frustrations, irritations, and you don't know where they're coming from. And your bubbly personality will start dwindling,
Mhm.
and you will settle. Don't settle in life, please.
Yes, sir.
I've seen so many people do that. Did you ever watch that video, Prince Iya?
No.
Here, I'll see if I can find it super quick for you. I'll drop it in the chat. He's a spoken word person. Deathbed. I forgot what it's called. Oh, here. The YouTube clip is called "Everybody Dies, but Not Everybody Lives."
Ooh.
And I won't play it now, but I will send you the link to it. I will drop it in the chat here as well. I think that is absolutely one of my favorite all-time clips about, and he said something, it's not until we get to the end of our lives we finally realized we never truly lived. And what he talks about is people don't regret the things they did, they regret the things they didn't do and the
Mhm.
dreams they didn't pursue.
Mhm.
Like, I love that mindset, and it comes from knowing what you want and not moving the goalpost and not setting yourself up in relationships. Because I would argue you bucket everything into relationships. Even if you worked in a 100,000 big company, you would still see it as a relationship.
Hmm.
Um, so avoid survival instinct of rejection. Another thing I would explore if I were you is, did you ever read Brene Brown, The Power of Vulnerability?
Mm-mm. It's on the list
Yep.
now.
She talks about people ultimately seek connection with other people. And in order to make a deep, meaningful connection with someone else, you have to be vulnerable. I think by you reading that, you might discover that, like the whole servant aspect of your personality. Just make sure other people will take advantage of that as well. So my thought process was, if you read something like that, maybe you develop a guard, like protecting yourself from others who connect to use you.
Mm. Mm.
But I think, okay. What other thoughts comes to your mind? We have to write. It became a long live. That was not my intent. But what else? What other thoughts are on your mind based on what I have said? Is there anything that resonated?
Oh, all of it definitely did. I like the time frame. That's how I solved the last big thing for me. I gave myself a time frame and I kept moving the post. But after a while, I was like, I passed the time frame. That it's time to do it. So
Yeah.
that really, really resonates.
Write that letter one pager to yourself in your own handwriting. Put it on your refrigerator, and then write it. How do you feel if you stayed 12 months after
Mm.
the 3 months mark?
Oh, okay. I could already like feel it. Like, oh,
Yeah,
not wanting that.
because you lived it already.
Hmm.
Put that emotion in your head, and what people tend to do is take the actions earlier. So you do, it's called catastrophe scenario. So you create the catastrophe scenario, and then you set up the rules of what needs to be true for you to stay. So
Mm.
catastrophe, things that needs to be true for you to stay and feel fulfilled. Time frame and action.
Hmm. Thank you.
Because now it's really hard. You can only lie to yourself now. Once you have done that, but show it to one person and maybe ask Ice. I don't know how often you talk,
Mm.
but she would be someone I would ask about the letter she wrote to herself. It was related to her business, but I think it's so important to have those. In Swedish, we have a name for them. I don't know how to explain it in English, but it's the, like, I will not compromise on this list, or I'm
Mm.
compromising myself after this point.
Non-negotiables.
Yeah, thank you. That's what it's called in English.
Yeah.
Um, and then accountability buddies, just to wrap it up. So letter, accountability buddies,
Mhm.
few, not too many. Got to learn to reduce them over time,
Yeah.
to trust your own instinct more. And then yeah, I would watch that YouTube clip I sent. I think it's an amazing one. Maybe it will spark something in your head, that will make you more aware and wake up before it's too late.
Mhm.
So many people live their lives and then realize it's too late. So I don't want that for you.
Thank you. I appreciate this. This is great. Thank you.
Yeah. And then go through the North Star thing, and especially core value exercise in there, I think is a good one for you. Um, Do you ever, last question, by the way, do you ever do a plan? Like, here is where I want to be, like a vision board. 5 years from now, this is the life I want.
I do. I try, but when I write things out, it doesn't feel right. Like I feel like I can't get that. And so that's why it's kind of vague of like, well, what are you working for? And I'm like, I'm just working to do what I like to do. And I feel like I have an idea of what I want. And I've kind of written it out, but I feel like it's very open to changing, flexible, I guess.
It's okay. It can change. Al Dominguez wrote BHAG. It's like the big, obnoxious,
Oh
blah
yeah.
blah blah goal. But sometimes what I do, and I'm not saying what works for you. Sometimes right words makes it hard. I'm a super logical, non-emotional, boring person. So me personally, I do two things. I like pictures.
Mm.
So I take photos, or whenever I see like a beach somewhere I want to go visit, or I want to go to a country, I sometimes take the photo and I store it in my phone. And I have an inspiration folder where I also have where people have said nice things about me and the advisory service coaching I do and other things. And then I take that and I have that for my reminder of where I'm going, but also the people that believe in me. It's my little pep me all inspire myself type of folder.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes it's easier to just snap a picture. Like, let's say you wanted to go live in Spain for half a year, like just to pick something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, snap a photo of a Spanish flag or a photo of Madrid or like where you envision yourself. Store that in the folder on your phone that is called North Star.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at that every now and then, and you don't have to write much. Like, now you don't have to be judged of what you put in there. And it can literally be, I want to buy this car, or I want to, I don't know. If we were talking about ice again, she knows exactly which private jets she wants.
Oh my gosh. Ah!
Okay, that's a joke. But my point is, I think not just material things, but things you want to experience in life, things you want. And if it's a word that you can't, if you can't come up with a good photo, like, just take a post-it note and just write love or
Mm.
whatever the word is for you. And just put that word, take a photo of it and put it in your North Star album on your phone.
Mm.
And then slowly what ends up happening is you start creating a picture there. And when you have an album, like maybe you have 20, 30, and maybe take a selfie with you and a friend, like, I want to travel with this person or whatever it is. But sooner or later, you will know what the story is about. And then it starts crystallizing what your North Star is. And you already said several things here. You said private money lending. I want to impact people's lives, was kind of what I heard. And you want the deep, meaningful relationships.
Mm.
That's kind of what I hear you saying. And those are words you can just write on paper and take a photo of it, but they will sooner or later try to also, like, what is the relationship? What are you doing? What are you experiencing? When do you feel fulfilled? Um, Personal, privately, professionally. And that album is for you, but one day you might share it with someone else as an exercise, like, hey, I created this album and a lot of things became true. Someone wrote game plan is important. That's kind of what I'm trying to get you to,
Mm-hmm.
is if you can't write the words and you get stuck on it and you're kind of judging yourself, like you said, the math, oh, it's wrong. No, it's right. Like, nothing is wrong or right here. It just is.
Mm-hmm.
But I think just capturing it is key.
I like that. That sounds good and doable, and I will do it. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a simple one. Um, Trying to think of one more thing. There's another book, but I don't want to. You can Google the summary of the book. Don't read it.
Okay.
It's called Ready, Fire, Aim.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. The mindset there is don't overthink too much and don't care too much about the perimeters of what you're making decisions on.
Mm-hmm.
It's more important to just take action.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Maybe that can help you also when you feel overpowered in your decision making because of people.
Mm-hmm.
But don't read the book. You can go find a YouTube clip for 10 minutes that explains the concept. I think that's enough.
Okay.
Brene Brown is good. The Power of Vulnerability.
Okay.
That
That
is
was
a book I recommend.
Okay.
Anything else? I don't know. A little bit all over the place. But I also feel like you got some tools you can try now.
Oh yeah. No, this is amazing. Like perfect. I feel like I've gotten more value than I've given. So thank you.
That's your relationship worry. And I got more value than you think, because you jumped on a live and we got to talk about things that are coaching related or advisory related.
Mm.
So yeah, I got a ton of value because I got to showcase how I can help people unlock their minds, or at least give them suggestions on how to move forward in life. That makes me feel fulfilled.
Thank you.
So,
It's making me emotional.
no, but that's my point is don't feel you have what you just did there was I feel I have to be a servant of you. And I'm basically saying, no, you don't.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Don't project to overcompensate.
Mm.
Okay. By the way, okay, my eyes blurry. Vision board is so powerful. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm trying to get you to do. But if I say vision board or write down your North Star, you're gonna overthink it. Pictures.
Yeah.
Use your cell phone and just, oh, that's what I want. One day I want to buy that house. Oh, I want that furniture. I want to have this experience. I want to have this experience with a partner in the future. I want to have a dinner here. Do you understand? Like, it's the small, simple things. Okay. Let's go off. Let's stop the live. It's been 1 hour. Wow, long. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I have to say one thing in the end. I'm not sure if people are still listening. Yeah, we got some people on. We got actually quite a lot on. I'm going to commit to this now. I am launching a podcast. Thank you so much for the kind words there. For people who wrote in the comments. Oh, I got to fix my eyes. Nico Save. Sorry for butchering the name. Okay, Jada, I am going to launch a podcast. Part of why I wanted to go live is get these deep, meaningful conversations with people. Mm-hmm. Actually, Rich Summers, I'm on his mastermind, and he challenged me today because I said I already recorded several episodes. He's like, launch it. What are you waiting for?
Yeah.
And I went like, yeah, it's coming. So it is coming January. I'm going to launch it. It's called Successful Exits. It's for people who made transformational changes. So either entrepreneurs who sold a company, but it's not about the tips and tricks of how they got there. It's the emotional journey of leaving one life for another life. It's for people who left a marriage, a bad business partnership. I want to talk, or I have already been recording, but I want to talk to people who dared to make transformational changes in their lives, and they're now happy and living a fulfilled life. So I would argue, Jada, you actually made a transformational change in your life in the last year or so. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I want to celebrate that. And the type of questions I ask the guests are like, what built up to that moment where they knew I had to do this?
Yeah.
And what did you tell yourself? What did you tell others? And the people I've already talked to, there is a pattern. There's something happening. And it's often when either people's energy levels are depleted or it hits a core value for them. Mm-hmm. That's typically where people make the changes. The common thread for everyone I talked to so far is they knew way before what needed to be changed if it's a negative situation, but they didn't do it for years sometimes. And even like people knew I had to sell my company. I should have sold it years ago, and they started going down and they didn't get the money just because they were not in love with it anymore. So that's the podcast, what I want to talk about. And with my goal to give people the courage to make transformational changes in their lives. So your story here is a little bit similarity if you didn't see the pattern.
You kind of broke it down. Yeah, I definitely did. I am so excited for that podcast.
Yeah, and I'm committed to, and Vesna will kill me now. I want to do one episode every single week, but I will start a little later in January due to travel. But the goal is to release one episode every week, and my mission is if I can get 100 people to, it's a low target maybe, but if I can get 100 people to make a transformational change after hearing about someone else's transformational change, so they can have a successful exit either out of something good or out of something bad. Yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
my goal. That's my mission. So now I kind of said it. Now it's out there. Now I have to do it. So Rich Summers, if you ever heard this, or I'm going to send you this clip, now it's promised at least. So kind of launched. Anyway, thank you, Al. I appreciate the good words. Thank you, Jada, for being brave.
Thank you.
And yeah, everyone else, have an amazing week.
Woo!
Bye.
Bye.